Hi, I'm Erin Power.
And I'm Laura Rupsis.
We're certified health coaches, and this is Health Coach Radio.
This podcast is about the art, science, and business of health coaching.
We share our insider tips to help you become a better coach and entrepreneur.
And we interview expert guests to discover how they've made it in this growing field.
It's time for health coaches to make an impact.
It's time for Health Coach Radio.
Today we're hanging with Jamie Sabat, CEO and founder of Distill and Express, a coaching consultancy that directly attracts exactly what clients deserve into their lives through meditation, products, programs, and resources for higher vibes. So this is another great conversation with a successful practicing coach about manifestation and the power of intention to create a life you love. Super valuable for, say, a burgeoning health coach taking a leap into the unknown. We'd love to have you screenshot your podcast player and tag us on Instagram at Health Coach Radio. By the way, the show notes for this episode and all previous episodes can be found at primalhealthcoach.com/radio. Enrollment is now open for the fall semester of the Primal Health Coach Institute Level 2 certification course, an advanced coaching course that teaches you how to create transformational coach-client relationships, which is the best way to grow your coaching practice. Not only will you learn and practice advanced coaching skills, but this course also satisfies the educational requirements to enable you to sit for the NBC HWC credentialing exam so you can become a board-certified health and wellness coach. Fun fact, PHCI has a 100% pass rate for the board exam. Stay tuned to the end of the show to learn more or visit primalhealthcoach.com/level2. Thank you for indulging me in that little promo message. As the instructor of our Level 2 course, I'd love to work with you. Now, on to the show with our awesome guest, Jamie Sabat.
All right, Jamie Sabat, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Great. How are you, Laura? So good to be here.
Oh my gosh, we love talking with people in the health and wellness space, entrepreneurs that have built themselves and built their business and are successful and want to share their story. So we were thrilled to have you join us as a guest today. And so to kick us off, would you mind giving us a little bit of that backstory? You know, the 3 to 5 minute, like, where did you start and how did you get here?
Sure. Happy to share. And my wellness journey, I've done yoga for many years, but I really think it started with essential oils. And I had a natural birth with my daughter using the oil. So just long story short, I had a traumatic birth with my son when I was living in New York City. I was working in fashion and I just turned a corner saying, I really want to have a different experience with my daughter. And in my 8th month of pregnancy, I discovered doTERRA essential oils and learned the protocol, had the natural birth. And it was like, I took my power back. It was like, I was so defeated with the birth of my son of feeling like he was going to die, I was going to die, emergency C-section, to now having a natural birth and doing it on my own and feeling like I'm empowered. You know, the doctor's there, but I'm empowered as a woman doing this. So of course, quickly after I discovered that essential oils weren't just flowery, beautiful smells, but they're actual real medicine, I started my wellness business on my maternity leave from my job in real estate. And that's where it all began. I just really took it on and studied the oils and the medicinal properties. And as I was selling them at a yoga studio, a local yoga studio here in DC, I had a woman that kept coming back to my table, and she was a Reiki master who then brought me into Reiki. And I learned about energy and that there's energy all around us. And I think that was the pivotal point for me that led me to manifestation, that led me on the journey of, even though you might not be able to see it in the physical 3D tangible world, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And with that, in the combination of using essential oils, I don't even have Advil or anything in my house. Like, all I use are oils. I then started learning, or it manifested to me, about the law of attraction. And I was up in New York, actually as a part of my 9-to-5 job, a trip to New York working in real estate. On my way back to DC, I saw that Abraham Hicks was speaking in Philadelphia. And I stopped there and magical things started to unfold, learning about the law of attraction and manifestation. And that began my journey of really wanting to share this with other women and female entrepreneurs and coaching them and teaching them that you really are a co-creator with the universe and that you can create your own reality. So started with essential oils and birthing, but slowly led me to Reiki and manifestation.
Okay. So manifestation, there's a word that we hear a lot and we love. So for our listeners, can you maybe give us a summary of what this is? What, like, I know you kind of did, it's law of attraction. And I know that for folks who are in the manifestation law of attraction space, it all makes sense. But for those who aren't and kind of feel dumb about it, can you just explain it a little bit to us?
Sure thing, Erin. I would love to. And I actually like to take the woo-woo out of the work that I do and science it. And it really is science. I mean, it's, when you think about it, there's the law of gravity. We all know about that. But there are 12 laws that actually manage the universal laws. But we talk a lot about the law of attraction and manifestation. And it basically just says that which is like unto itself, it is drawn. So it's very simple. We're all manifesting and we're manifesting all the time, but maybe you're manifesting from a place of anger or sadness or stress or lack. And because of law of attraction, you're just attracting that. So the work that I do with my clients is mindset work. So working with the subconscious mind, which is leading our reality, changing that through hypnosis and EFT and time techniques and NLP to raise our vibration so that we're in a state of love or enlightenment or abundance. And when you're in that state, you attract that, just because that's the law of attraction. So for me, it's all about using our brain, which is our supercomputer, which is creating our reality, to shift the story, to change the story from our childhood, to change the story of what we're living in now, our current reality, to the reality that we want.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you think, can you put it into a context of like an example? So when you were going through your journey and you found oils and you found Reiki and that led you to manifestation and law of attraction work, is there like an example of a thing that you experienced that made you go, oh, I changed my thinking and I attracted this?
Totally. And so, as I mentioned before, I was working in real estate and moving from New York, working in fashion, to Washington, D.C., working in real estate. I was kind of starting from the bottom all over again, which I feel like happens a lot for female entrepreneurs. We have babies, we take time off, things like that. So we might have to start from a place of not where we were, which is where I was. And I moved from like a project manager into using my background as a trend forecaster, as using trend in real estate. And so the way that I did that was I changed my mindset. I had belief that I could leverage my skills that I had from a 15-year-long career. And I started to shift the possibilities of, well, what if I did this and I took on extra work? I started writing these additional reports on top of the work that I had. And then that started manifesting in my reality, where the company actually created a new role for me. It was a completely new role. We're focusing on demographics, like what's happening with Gen Z. And in that new role, I began to travel more. So it was like my world was small, but then with my belief systems and taking on that extra work, it expanded. And then that's the thing with the law of attraction too, is you get momentum. And once I had the momentum of expanding my world and traveling, everything just started flooding into me, and my belief became stronger and my faith became stronger because I could actually see it in my physical world.
Right. You know, we teach a lot of what you're talking about in coaching terms in our course as it relates to our own belief systems, the stories that we tell ourselves that get repeated over and over again. And because those are the stories that are present, to use your words, that's what gets manifested back to us. It's really, really hard for something new to enter when there's no room. right? When we keep telling ourselves that this is just the way it is, or this is just who I am. We work really hard, like coaches, if they're doing this right, are working very hard with their clients on changing that, both the internal and the external language. Mm-hmm. And I 100% agree with you. And I know Erin does too, that which we focus on, right? That which we believe is exactly what we're going to attract. And so the law of attraction, but also it impacts how we actually behave. It impacts the actions that we take, which then creates more energy, a ripple effect to bring things back to you. So for coaches that are listening that think health coaching is just about telling people what to eat and how to move and what time to go to bed, yes, we need to work with the right information, right? We need to be able to try to create the right inputs for people, but that's only half the story. You have this whole other half that if you're not focusing on it, I personally think you're either only going to get half the results or you're going to get results that are temporary.
I totally agree with you. That's why when I first start work, I love having a client come to me when they see a pattern. They're like, no matter what I do, I always make this amount of money. I always have this number of clients, or I can't do this. And it's like, that's the story that you're telling yourself. And my first question is, well, when did you decide that? Because there's fact, and then there's the story that we're telling ourselves. If something is not a fact, like that's why, is it fact or is it what I'm telling myself? If it's not a fact, that's a story that we're telling ourselves that we have created. And the first thing that we can do as powerful manifestors is change the story. We can change the story so quickly and easily, and then we're going to attract in something completely different than what we had before.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. When did you decide that? That is such an interesting question. It reminds me of Byron Katie, and I'm going to paraphrase like, oh, so you always fail on your diet after 2 weeks. Is that true? Is it really true? What if it wasn't true? Right? So getting people to realize that they've created this story and this identity, and now they're manifesting that reality. That's a really powerful, actually, coaching question. Bravo. Love that.
Yes.
Well, so tell us who you work with. So you're a manifestation mentor. And so you're working with female entrepreneurs typically. And these are folks who, they're leaving a professional career, entering into something that's more of a passion project. Who are these folks that you work with?
Do you know what is so funny, Erin? I'm just magnetizing and creating this energy of female entrepreneurs because because I'm in Washington, D.C., I have clients that come to me that are government workers that are not even interested in starting a business. And somehow when they leave me, they're starting a business. I don't know how it's happening. But so it's a variety. Some women, they are trying to expand their business and they're already there. But I do have clients that there's a feeling underneath what they're doing every day that there's more for them, and that they realize that taking the path of starting an LLC, creating that, opening their bank account, creating a logo is this creative part of the process that they never even knew they could do, and that it's fun, and that it's a wonderful thing that they can create and build. So I definitely have a range of women, but somehow they leave me with an LLC and a new business idea that we've co-created together that was percolating, but has now formulated. So it's kind of funny.
So can you speak to, this is a question that we get a lot because we are huge advocates of having kind of a target market, right? This niche, this avatar client that you work with. And we get a lot of people that really struggle with defining this. Can you talk a little bit about you and how you arrived at working was this a preference of yours? Did you struggle with this? Is this just something that manifested out of your energy? Can you talk a little bit about that process for you? Because it really might help some coaches listening now that are struggling with this particular aspect of getting their business started.
Sure, definitely. And I feel like it's the type of thing, because my background working with energy and fashion trend forecasting, but following this trend, I don't believe there's no coincidences. Everything happens for a reason. The fact that Kamala is in the White House, first, minority female, women are in a movement now. They want more. They want to change the world. They want to raise the vibration of the planet. They're seeking more. It's women, this powerful energy where I feel like it's a time for an uprising for them, where they want to leave their mark and make a statement. And I'm creating it in my world. So of course, because of the law of attraction, they're coming to me and they're saying, Jamie, I've been looking at your Instagram and looking at your growth, and I see you as a role model. But I think that in general, there's just right now during this 2020, 2021, a time where women are saying, I actually want to learn about investing. What is Bitcoin? What's Robinhood? How easy is it to start a business? They're questioning all of these things. And I'm just there as a gateway, as a door for them to find themselves and to move along this path. And, of course, I think I'm a little bit of my own avatar. I was seeking, and I always tell my clients, think about where you were 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That's who you can speak to. That's your audience. That's who you resonate with. So I must be speaking to myself 2 years ago, and now here I am. And those are the women that are coming to me. So vision, if you think about vision boarding it out, think about what you wanted 2 years ago and what kind of course or who would lead you in the right direction. You can start there creating your product.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Erin, how many times do we say that to people, right? If you're having a hard time trying to define a niche, start there. Start with your story and where you were, what you needed back then. Fantastic advice. We agree wholeheartedly. And that doesn't mean, so for example, I mean, I've known, we interviewed a gentleman on this podcast probably like a year ago. He's a dude. He's a naturopathic doctor, but for whatever reason, he's got an uncanny ability, just attracting like premenopausal and menopausal women. He's got a whole program around women and hormones and fat loss at a later age. It's just, there must be something about him and his personality and his interests that has kind of drawn this audience. So it's not unheard of that you end up working with a demographic that's different than you, but he tells a story about his mother and his desire to help his mother, right? So there is, even though it's not him going through this, he's got this story and this experience of working with somebody he just loves, that is an integral part of his life. And by the way, he helps men too. Don't get me wrong. He's got that other thing. But from the standpoint, unless that really kind of jumps out at you, right, for folks that are struggling with where to begin, who you're talking to, I absolutely love that recommendation. Talk to yourself 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and get started from there and see what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Starting point.
Sometimes we get in the health coaching educational space as we're coaching our students through this, and I'm sure any health coach listening not any, but some health coaches listening to this are thinking, well, I didn't have a dramatic health story. And we always say, it doesn't matter. Something brought you here. What was it? And it's so interesting. And I know you know this in your line of work, Jamie, but like people have a really hard time connecting to that something. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we are so disconnected from what's coming through our subconscious mind?
Well, I think a lot of things. One of the things is that, first of all, we're so inundated with technology and the noise. Yeah. One of the first things that I recommend is meditation. First of all, it's free, but people are like, oh, meditation, I'm going to go in there and solve my problems. It's like, no. Meditation is you quieting your mind so that you can hear source. That's when we get the breadcrumbs. That's when we get the clues. Go to the Starbucks now. You might run into, we don't know, but I call it checking my downloads. Like when I sit in the morning, it's for us to receive. It's not for you to solve your problems. It's like, sit there quietly, get the clues on what it is that you need to go and the direction that you go in. But, and of course, just with technology, there's so much noise. So I use sage, Palo Santo, selenite to clear my energy as well. But I also think that there's a huge thing right now with imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And well, someone else is doing it. So why can I be better than them and their story and they're beautiful and I'm not? It's like, no, that's why I love the science behind manifestation. We are 1 in 400 trillion unique from each other. Like when I heard that, and I use astrology in my practice as well, we are so unique that our story is going to resonate with someone else. Even if someone else is doing manifestation, if someone else is doing health coaching, you are so unique that you're going to attract the people that are right for you. I mean, how many people are on the planet? So I love just getting rid of that imposter syndrome. We're all different. And if we hear a calling, that means that it's meant for us. The universe is calling you to what your destiny and where you're supposed to be and your goals. It's not just a random like, oh, I had this dream and I, thought of this. It's like, no, your source is telling you to do this. So listen to that. Forget about the imposter and just quiet your mind and let the directions from source guide you and lead you to the place that you're supposed to be.
Okay. So your take on imposter syndrome, if I'm interpreting this correctly, is like you're not impersonating anybody. You're not an imposter because you're a unique entity, and whatever you're doing is what you're meant to be doing. So don't compare yourself to the super celebs who are doing whatever, because that's not who you are, what you're doing.
Totally. It's like, stop it now. We're all so unique. And it's like, I love the example. There's a coach out there, Kim Friedmutter, who I love and adore. And it's like, people are on Instagram. It's like, well, she only has like a few hundred followers, but she's one of the highest paid coaches in the world. So followers, all of that stuff, it's just clouding our mind with stories that are just not true, and just be connected to yourself and celebrate that.
Cool.
Yeah. This is something that we try to tackle. We tackle it in our course, actually, right? It's one of our exercises on let's disprove imposter syndrome. And you're 100% right. I think this really comes from people trying to be something they're not. They're trying to emulate someone or something that they admire, rather than taking what it is they admire from these people and using it as a way to just continue to grow and improve. But you need to be you. And the minute we can get people to really just understand that, we say this all the time, your story, your journey will have value to someone else. Just like whoever it is you are, whoever your girl crush or boy crush is, on Instagram or Facebook or whatever the case may be, there's somebody that was you 2 years ago that wants to emulate you, right? So be you. There's value in that for people. So thank you very much for that. And I think you articulated that very well, kind of how you are just like, stop trying to be something you're not. Just be you. You are unique. There's value in that. So I just absolutely love that. And, we've talked a lot about kind of energy and the flow of energy and how all this works. And I heard you say, I like to try to take the woo-woo out of this. And I think there's a lot of people that really like the woo-woo. So we don't want to take it totally out of there. But for those who, again, might be like, okay, how do you de-woo-woo energy, this kind of flow of energy? Because Reiki is a lot of this, right? The flow of energy and energy healing. And I'm a believer in the flow of energy, and focusing my attention and focusing my energy on what I want to see manifested. So can you tell me a little bit about how you would explain how all this flow kind of works back and forth from the standpoint of using energy? I heard you use the term momentum. It's another thing that kind of fits really well in there, on helping clients get, like, not clients, but coaches, either get started or unstuck. Because this is where we see that something's stopping the energy. Something's either stopped the momentum or hasn't started. How do you get it going again?
Right. I mean, I actually recommend a Reiki energy or a healing touch session, because your chakras might be blocked or your energy might be off, which is like, I don't think enough people realize or give credit to the power of energy and what a huge effect that it's having on our lives, and even other people's energy, like thoughts coming into your mind, like, I'm not good enough. That could be your neighbor, or that could be someone down the street that you walked past the street and you're picking up on that. So energy clearing is super important. Taking an Epsom salt bath, getting a Reiki healing session, and yes, that's why I was saying the science behind it. It's actually when you're becoming a Reiki master and a practitioner, what you're doing is you're actually sealing your chakras open so that universal life force energy can flow through you, so that you can use your hands to take that energy and put it onto the client.
Hmm.
So it's a flood where it's actually like opening your chakra panels to receive pure energy, to clear it out. And that's part of the thing, is that, we're stuck. One of the chakras are blocked. The story that we're telling us, our energy isn't flowing. We have we have a field of energy, a magnetic field of energy around us. If you have negative energy in that field and you've been walking around like that for years and haven't cleared it, it's going to be difficult to manifest the things that you want into your life. But simple tips, like you can take an Epsom salt bath. You can use Palo Santo and open all the windows and let the energy flow into your apartment, into your home, into your space. But I highly recommend getting an energy session from a Reiki healer, from a shaman, anything like that, to change the flow.
Yeah.
To clear the flow.
What do you think blocks a chakra? Is it experiences? Is it thoughts? I would love to a little bit about kind of what might cause energy or, chakras to kind of close down. Is there anything else we can work through, maybe through meditation and mindset work or what have you, to kind of help open this back up, create that openness within us for change to happen?
Totally. I mean, part of it can be environmental, just like when, someone can have an environmental experience, a traumatic experience where alcoholism kicks in or whatever the negative pattern might be. But that's why I love using mindset tools, because our brain, if you think of it more of a computer, and that we can be responsible for programming it, and we can program it with the stories that we want. So when you think of an iceberg, our subconscious mind is like 95% below the surface. And then our conscious mind is like 5% above. Well, our subconscious mind is created from our childhood. From the age of 0 to 7, the subconscious mind is being created. It's like, that's why we say we're sponges at that age. Our parents, our caretakers, teachers, other children around us, advertising, that creates a story that then, from our lens of viewing the world that way, we manifest from that perspective. So I use a powerful tool with my clients. It's called time techniques. And you can actually think of your life as a timeline and go back into the past from the age of 0 to 7. Some people can even go back generational or past lives. And you look at the story and you can change the story and recreate it in a new way. So for example, the first time you felt anger and you're vibrating in your current state at anger, maybe your mom didn't want to give you a lollipop because you just had a cookie and you had too much sugar. So you created anger, which just compounds from 5 to 6 over the years into adulthood when we have road rage. But when you go back using time techniques, you can see it more clearly as an adult of like, oh, my mom just didn't want me to have sugar. Nothing to be angry about. Let's clear that story and let's change my timeline leading up until now. And I can walk around in the world as a less angry person. So I love time techniques. Hypnosis is also another powerful technique where we move into the theta brainwave state, where we're much more relaxed and in a trance, similar to when you're scrolling through your phone or driving to work, you're just in a trance. And you can program in the things that you want to create in that story. And that's why I say when people create New Year's resolutions, well, on the conscious level, that 5%, it doesn't work because you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do this. You have to change it on the subconscious level, the personality level of reprogramming who you are. So you're a different person. You're a healthy person. That's just a habit of what it is that you do.
Man, this all sounds really like juicy and interesting. I'm going to admit that I struggle with implementation of all this kind of stuff, even though I hear it and I believe it. Like, for example, the 0 to 7 age range, I've heard that before. That's when a lot of that's when our stories get told to us, or we start forming the stories in our subconscious mind. And even when you were sharing that example, I don't think I can on the fly remember my first expression of anger or embarrassment or shame or whatever. Do you find that when you're working with people, they have a hard time? Like, does it take a few tries to get back to age 0 to 7 and pinpoint that moment?
Well, we're in, let's do a session together. We're in it. The person is in a more hypnotic state.
Okay.
And so, and also if you're having difficulty, I have some tools to kind of like probe you more, but I'll say, don't even think about it on your conscious mind, let your subconscious mind answer for you. And time is different in your subconscious mind. So just the first gut reaction of what you're feeling is of what that time was of anger, and try to guide the person if they're having a sticky situation, but you're in a more hypnotic state. So you're much more easily able to pull that moment in time of what that is, and visualizing and seeing what the moment in time was.
Okay. I was just thinking back to an interview we did with, we did an EFT session.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
tapping session. And, we went through it, and I don't think Laura and I had either done that before. And I was able to, through that methodology, go back into a time where I wanted to address like young Erin about something that was really formative, and it was actually pretty cool. So I guess I have dabbled in it. I super buy into it. And every time we talk to folks like yourself, it's like the subconscious mind is where we need the work. And I was thinking about, like, this morning I went out for a run because I wasn't feeling good. I was like, I don't feel good. I'm just gonna go out and crank out a run, or we're gonna go lift some weights, or like all this surface level stuff, and it's like, but the surface level is not where my problem is. Right? It's deeper.
Well, it's funny. I actually also, like, I have a signature program where we gradually, like, the time techniques and the hypnosis are later on in the program, and we start probing the subconscious mind. But I used to really meditate so much, probably like 3 years ago. And now I wake myself with a hypnosis session, because it's just that much more powerful of subliminally programming my mind. So that's the whole beautiful thing about manifestation. It should be easy. You should be in flow. You shouldn't be pushing it. It's like when the subconscious, let's say you're like, I want to be a millionaire as a health coach. If you've programmed yourself with that personality, it's much more easy than trying to get on Instagram and sending out email blasts. It's like, no. Let's get into that personality first, and then it just flows to you.
Feels more natural.
Much more natural, because that's your new persona. If you're working from the old persona, you're just going to keep attracting what it is that you've always gotten in life.
Can I share an anecdote that I think illustrates this? Okay. So I live in Canada, and I've lived here my whole life. And I don't know if you guys know this, but in Canada, we have a lot of moose. So moose, very giant, weird, crazy animal, lives in unpopulated places like Canada. So anyway, in my 45 years on planet Earth, I'd never seen a bull moose, which is like the epic, that's a creature you want to see in your lifetime. This huge animal with these huge antlers. I've never in my life seen a bull moose. Okay, so I'm out on a walk on Christmas Day, this past Christmas, and I live out in the country as well. There's moose everywhere where I live, everywhere, and I still haven't seen one. I was out for a walk on Christmas Day, and it was so peaceful because it's Christmas Day. Nobody was driving around. Nobody was outside. I was literally the only person out in my sort of rural dwelling here. And I actually said to myself, I'm going to see a bull moose. This feels like bull moose day. I'm going to see a bull moose. I just know it. I didn't, but a week later I did. 1 week later, I saw a bull moose, and it was crazy. And the thing is, I even shared this on Instagram, and I had like all my Instagram follower people were like, oh my God, you manifested that moose. The thing is, I did, because I decided I wanted to see a moose. And then I started behaving like a person that bumps into moose. I started walking on different trails. I started going out at dawn and dusk. I started going, into the bush instead of staying on the road. Like, I decided I wanted to see a moose. Then I changed my behavior as to be like a person who sees moose. And then I saw a freaking moose.
Right.
That's my example of manifesting. I manifested a moose.
Well, that's a perfect example, because in my manifestation process, you think of exactly what it is that you want. You think, okay, get clear on, I want a 500K month or whatever it is, or you want to see a bull moose. And then you embody that person. So that's what I think people, they hear the fake it till you make it, or the the imposter syndrome type of thing, where it's like, no, it's actually good to have expanders so that you can see an example. Like for me, it's like, ooh, successful African-American female coaches, like that. It's good to have expanders so you can see another example of like, it's possible, and then modeling that. So you embodied that. And then when you release the things that don't serve you, like negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, and then you expect it to happen, like that's the process of manifestation. So you did it and you manifested the bull moose.
You did.
Yeah,
really good.
Absolutely. It's funny because this is a technique that is extremely powerful with a health coach's clients that have had repeated problems, issues with dieting, like relationship with food, obsession with exercise, like all of these things, right? Where the biggest issue that we see with people when it comes to being able to maintain an effortlessly healthy lifestyle is they don't fundamentally believe they're a healthy person. Right. And so now they're behaving in ways that they think maybe a healthy person would, like they're trying to lose weight, just as an example. And we see this a lot with not just women, actually men too, these these super uber, like low caloric diets that, and they lose a bunch of weight. And they think that that's what it takes to remain slim. But over time now, what you've manifested is a horrible relationship with food, a horrible kind of mindset around dieting. And that in order for them to look a certain way, they have to be this uncomfortable. Rather than when you take a look at truly healthy people, the way they look at food, their relationship with food is different. They're exercising because they enjoy to exercise, not because they're punishing themselves over their bad relationship with food.
Right.
So exactly. This is where working on that mindset and visualizing what it would feel like and look like to actually be a truly healthy person. And how would that then, like, just sitting in that, I guess. So I would love, maybe if we're going to use this as an example, because I think it would hit home with a lot of health coaches, and you've got a client that said, this is their story, right? They've got a history of dieting, a history of abusive exercise patterns. They yo-yo, their weight goes up and down all their time, and they're finally coming to you to let go of all that. They finally just want to be successful long-term. Kind of, if you can kind of walk our coaches through how the power of changing the way they view themselves and manifest themselves as a health, what they then see as far as clients' choices and habits and what have you.
Well, I love everything that you're saying about questioning, well, what would a healthy person do? And like living in that persona, because a healthy person wouldn't be depriving themselves to become rail thin. Like that's not healthy. We know that. That's like, oh, maybe you look good or whatever it might be, but that's not a healthy lifestyle. And I think you have to also look at it holistically. Healthy people might read and meditate too, and not just be on the physical plane of like, I have to be thin and I have to exercise 7 days a week for 3 hours. It's more about embodying that as a complete person. And I always say, when working with the universe, focus on the why and the what. Why you want to, like, think about that. Maybe it's like you want to have more energy to run around with your kids. That's going to have a much more powerful impact on you than just, I want to fit into my skinny jeans. Like when you focus on the why, and then you focus on the what, which might be like being, a healthy person, then let the universe focus on the how, the when, and the who. And when it's like almost like you're trying to get in the universe's lane and job and say, right, I can do this better than you. It's like, well, actually you can. Focus on the why. And when you focus on the why, that's when the true transformation happens. Because if you're like, I want to be in better shape and like be healthy because I want to have energy and play with my kids, that is going to impact your life in a much more powerful way than just, I want to lose 15 pounds. Like, just so much deeper, and really going to change your personality, change the persona and the direction that you live your life in.
Right. Yeah, those are intrinsic motivators. We teach that in, our health coaching school. One thing that you said that I think, again, is another amazing health coaching question. I'm just getting so many like ideas for questions from you, my clients. And this is how I interpret it. It's like, what else does a healthy person do? So if you're sitting with a client and the client is berating themselves because they haven't achieved XYZ goal, even though I'm being so good, whatever, they're thinking of these tactical things they need to do to achieve health. What they're not thinking about is what does a healthy person do? What kind of life does that person live? What do they embody? Rather than like, how many calories should I eat or burn or macros or whatever, it's like, what other things do healthy people do? Can you envision somebody who, or maybe envision a version of you that's living this optimal health? And actually, I have this exercise, now that I'm saying this out loud, I have this exercise in my intake form. So I ask my clients to describe in present tense their vision of effortless health. And it's hard. Nobody gets it right. Yeah. They're like, well, I would fit into my size 12 jeans that I wore. It's like,
not
like,
would.
Right. But there's a major block in terms of like being able to envision this embodiment sort of health. But I think it's incredibly powerful. I think for coaches listening, that's the golden egg. If you can connect to your point, the what and the why, the intrinsic motivator, great start. And then we have to get people thinking and talking about what life looks like, feels like, lives like when this is real for them.
And Erin, just to touch on that point again, because there's energy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, we're living in the 3D world, we drive cars and all of that kind of stuff. But because there's energy, there's maybe a sub-lying reason of why you can't let go of the weight. It's because you're like tense, you're not embodying it fully, you're not connecting to that energy of what a healthy person is. It's holistic, that's what I like to look at it holistically, and not just the like dieting and exercise. So because there's energy all around us, and if you're pushing against and battling that energy, it's going to be, you might be able to achieve your goal, but it's going to be much harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's harder to maintain it. It's like a constant battle, right? You're constantly always working and trying so hard, fighting against that negative energy, fighting against these other tendencies that are there and likely there because of the negative energy. I think anybody would understand that when you're in a truly happy place, things just feel, the energy you feel internally and the energy around you feels different, and people are attracted to you, versus when you're in a very unhappy, sort of angry, insecure place. People can feel that. Mm-hmm. And clearly the energy in you feels differently because you're expressing it this way, but the energy around you is very different. How can you attract anything positive if all you're ever really giving your thoughts to are those negative thoughts, negative? I was having a conversation with my stepmom this weekend about some family members. And I was just talking about sort of the role of what coaching really is, and I'm trying to explain to her, it's not my job to put somebody on a diet. We're just going to work together to learn how to eat. But in order to learn how to eat, I got to understand what I'm eating for, why I'm eating that way, why I might have made other choices in the past, where that's led you, what might we be able to do differently? And also, what is it about you, the good things that are about you that you can leverage to sort of achieve these goals so that they can overcome these perceived negative things that you might think about yourself. And so again, I'm not here to tell you those negative things are wrong. You can decide that. I think they're wrong, but you have to believe that. And I think one way we can help people believe that is by focusing on the good things and helping to grow the good things so that the good things crowd out the bad things.
Yes.
Right.
And Laura, totally to your point, like I have a lot of clients when they come to me, they're just like, I'm just so exhausted. Yeah. I don't have energy. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to focus my energy. They're just like frantic in a way. And I'm sure you both have experienced that. And that's the thing to understand about, our energy field. When you are pushing and striving and like all stressing, you're going to be exhausted. You're not sleeping well. You're waking up with a cup half empty. Mm-hmm. You're just not, but when you are in flow, the universe is supporting you. That's when you feel the wind in your sails. That's when you feel the water going downstream. And when you have more energy, then you can achieve more. But if you're coming up from a place of depletion and you're trying to change your personality and become a whole new person, how are you going to do that when you have no energy? Which is why I love the mindset work, because let's get you into let's move you to a positive place and then try to achieve. Don't try to go from here to here, like your body's not going to regulate properly, but just try to get into the positive first and then start the goal setting from there.
Nice. Love it. Yeah, this is all good. It's so interesting because, I teach an advanced health coaching course. We just wrapped it up. And we literally don't talk about nutrition or health concepts at all. It literally is how to get your clients to tap into what's truly felt, believed, known. It's just wild. Like, I just think there's so many interesting takeaways for health coaches when we talk about this energy stuff. So thank you. So before we pressed record, you were sharing with us that you have a master class that you're running. And I think maybe we pivot toward this sort of what you're working on and who you're helping with this program. So tell us about your master class.
Oh, yes, I'd love to share. It's a free master class, so please go and watch it. It's www.masteringyoursecondact.com. And so it's all about, and even if you don't want to start a business necessarily, but you're in a place where you're seeking, you feel like something's calling to you, you feel like there's something more out there for you. This is an opportunity to learn more about manifestation, the law of attraction, how to attract what you want into your life with ease and with flow. I share 3 secrets in there. It's a 30-minute class. And this is an opportunity just to tap in and see, is there something else out there for me? Is there a better way of living? Is there something else that I can focus on? And it's geared towards, especially female entrepreneurs, but women that are seeking something else, something new, and wanting to be more in flow with the universe.
Cool.
I love it.
Okay. So women who feel like there's something more for them. So this isn't necessarily people who are like, I hate my job, I need something new, but it could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. And I think that's the thing. We always get little nudges from the universe or ideas that might pop into your head. Maybe you keep a journal beside your bedstand and you're taking down notes and feeling that. But if you feel an itch, I feel like this masterclass is exactly right for you to just listen in and see, maybe there's something else I want to try out there. Maybe a business could be really cool. Or maybe you have a side hustle right now that you want to expand and you're not exactly sure how to do that. I share my story on how I went from a 9 to 5 to fully in my business.
Yeah. Well, and Laura and I both have those kinds of stories too. And I was thinking about this nudge idea. And I actually remember it was, we were talking what my nudge was. So I had just come through a really busy season in my professional career, my previous career, and was feeling really burnt out and super unappreciated for reasons I won't bore you with. And I went to my boss with these concerns and I'm burnt out and I feel unappreciated. And what he did was he gave me a new office with a nicer view. And so I moved all my stuff into this new office and I sat down on my desk and I looked at the windows and I was like, nope, this doesn't make it better. And that was actually my hinging point where I was like, there's something more for me. Didn't know what that was, but it was the tipping point that had me starting to explore and eventually taking my leave from my professional career. So it doesn't always have to be this big call to entrepreneurship. It's just something about this situation is feeling a mismatch or something, right?
Right. You can feel it. It's that energetics, once again, where you can feel like there's something else calling for you, or you might not even know what it is yet, but you can feel that there's something else out there.
Yeah. I try to encourage, and it's not just people calling in for this course. It's just friends of mine that want to know how I made it. Because my old career, similar to Erin's, is extremely stressful. I made a lot of money doing it, but there's a reason why, because the lifestyle stinks, right? It's not a good lifestyle. You have to be well paid for it. But anyway, when I left, I can't even tell you how many of my colleagues called to congratulate me for getting the heck out. And aren't you afraid? And I still get messages from people just like, I want to talk to you about how you made that move and why you made that move, to use Erin's term, that nudge, and there's just so much about, as a gift to yourself, if there's something else that's calling you, I think you owe it to yourself to check it out and to learn more and to take at least a step to open up the opportunities for yourself. Because if you never take a step, no one's going to do it for you. You've got to be willing to do it for yourself. But it doesn't have to be, okay, well, I hate my job, I'm just going to quit it and hope for the best. You can do that, I suppose, but I think that ends up causing more stress than necessary. But it's this idea of taking the step you need in order to be able to feel more confident in that manifestation, that dream that you might have. Now, here's an interesting question, and I'd love your opinion on this. Sometimes people aren't necessarily called to something specific, but they are really feeling pulled away from something else. I think for some people, they get stuck in this, I'm not happy here, but I don't know what else to do, and so they might be, and I'm wondering, I'm thinking this masterclass might actually be perfect for those people that I know I don't want to be here. I just don't know exactly the direction I want to go. And using some of these tools to try to uncover a couple of avenues. And one thing I do tell people in my role here is, look, if you're being drawn in a direction, you don't want to be here. There's a couple of things I really do like. I just don't know which the direction is the right direction to go. I often tell people, I think you can have multiple right directions. I don't think it necessarily has to be one, but you have to kind of pick one for now, right? And move in that direction and see where it takes you. And I promise you, every step that you take, every action you take, decision you make creates another opportunity. It's like this ripple effect, right? It's like this doorway that opens. So, I would love your thoughts there for folks that feel stuck. They know they're not where they want to be, but they know that where they are is not where they want to be, right? They're not happy there, but they're not really all that certain about where else to go or where they want to be.
Yes. Well, I think that's that's probably 95% of people, Laura. So I'm so glad you touched on that. But I feel like if you're listening to this right now, this is your first clue that you're on the right path to getting the life that you desire. So if you're listening, this is a sign from the universe that you're on the right path. And as human beings, as animals, we are trained to move away from fear and the things that are uncomfortable and that we don't like, and not necessarily trained to move towards the things that we want. So I think shifting from the moving away and moving towards is like one of the first steps. There are some amazing tools that are out there that can start getting us in the right direction. I love astrology. Reading your birth chart. And people are like, do you believe in astrology? It's like, there's nothing to believe. It's science. It's just where the planets were when you took your first breath. And that's a great place to start as a tool of just wondering what your career pathing is, or what your talents are, or what you're not so strong at, so that you can move away from those things and move towards the things that really work for you. Myers-Briggs, human design is another powerful tool right now that's becoming much more popular that are using. Take one of these tests. Some of them are free online to just get to know your personality more. And dive deeper into who you are, because when you really can see your strengths and validate, because a lot of what we do is we beat up on ourselves. I'm a starter, but I don't really finish. It's like, well, maybe you're meant to be a CEO. Don't beat up on yourself. That's just, who you are. So doing some of those things, I think, could be a great activator for what it is that you're meant to do. But also some of the things that are totally free, meditating, quieting the mind to really hear, to observe, get connected to nature, and like or Erin did when she went out on her morning walk, but take your shoes off and put your feet like into the ground and really get connected and get solid so that you can hear. Journal, like right when you wake up and you're in that theta brainwave state, or like right before you go to bed, what's calling to you? What are the ideas that are percolating to you? Like journal those out. And then as you start culminating these things, you'll get a better idea of like what makes you happy, who you are, where do you focus your time? You know, are you interested in going to art galleries? Is that interesting to you? But really getting to know yourself is the best way to start to figure out what's right for you instead of looking at other people and the external, but like really going within. And sometimes that can be hard. It can be really, you know, scary, or maybe there's past trauma in your early childhood. And that's why coaches are great, because they can help you along the way. But, you know, free things are like meditation, journaling, walk in the park, all of those things.
Love that.
Awesome. I had a great list of resources. I wrote all those down. I'm going to do them all.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I'm feeling pretty inspired to help my clients connect energetically to what they desire in life. I don't know about you, Laura. I'm feeling like.
Yeah, you know, I think for both of us, you, Erin, and I feel like the longer we're in this business, the more coaching we do, the more we're really, really focused more on the mindset. And really, really focused on the why. I heard you use that. That's a big one, and kind of tapping back into that. And, you know, everybody thinks they're coming to us for meal plans. They think they're coming to us to tell them what to eat and what to do. And okay, you know what? At some point in your journey, we'll probably get there. You and I are going to talk about that. But really, the value that we bring as coaches, mentors, whatever, and I heard you use this term, is to be that gateway for them. That a door that has been seemingly shut to them for so long, we can help open that door. And you know, encouraging our clients to, you heard you say this too, get to know themselves better. And to forgive some things that I think they've been blaming themselves for, or other people for, again, creating a lot more sort of bad energy. The more we're in this business, Erin and I talk about how more and more of our coaching sessions have a lot less to do with food and diet and all that other stuff, and a lot more on empowerment and leveraging resources and building their own strengths and gaining confidence, and mindset and meditation. Just as a side note, like my husband was actually prescribed meditation by a doctor.
I love it. That's great.
Loved it. You know, this was somebody that he was paired with on a service called Steady MD. And this guy, he was paired with someone a lot like him. This guy just happened to be an MD. Brad's not, but they both have problems with ADD, you know, addiction, depression, anxiety. So this guy knew what it was like to live in Brad's head, you know, and he prescribed him meditation as a way to calm the noise, slow things down. And, you know, I just love it. And I think the more we can focus on those kinds of tools, like you say, are free and they're inside of us. I just love it. And it's just a reminder of how important that part of what we do is, Erin. So I agree with you.
Actually, it's a reminder of like everything that we really need is already inside of us.
Exactly. I love what you ladies are doing. It's so empowering.
Well, we love what you're doing, you know, and it's a great reminder of just how far you can help somebody travel without ever putting them on a diet, without ever designing a fitness. Don't get me wrong. I love that stuff. I do. I'm a total geek around that, but it's just one tool or two tools, right? These are just tools in the toolbox that clients can use, that I use for my own life, and that clients can use. There's so many other aspects of what make a whole person truly happy that I think as coaches, we need to help remind our clients of these things.
Yes. The holistic vision, I think, is so powerful. You know, especially like in America, I had the privilege of studying fashion in London and Paris, and like lived in Europe and really saw like what it was like there. It's like compartmentalizing somehow in the US. And it's like, no, we're a whole person. And when you look at yourselves holistically, it might not even be about the diet. It might just be something else. And then we can change that. And then the diet just fixes itself. It's like, we have to look at it holistically to really uncover what's happening.
I love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay. So if people want to check out your Mastering Your Second, so you gave us the website, masteringyoursecondact.com. We can find it there. Where can they find out more about you?
I'm on Instagram all the time. So I'm Distill and Express. That's actually the way essential oils are created. But then people are like loving the names of like, oh, you're distilling the personality and then expressing your new life. So I'm kept
go with it.
Yeah. So I'm on the gram, LinkedIn as well. I love sharing business tips, like how to get your LLC super easy and all types of business tips. So you can find me there as well.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jamie. This has been a total blast.
Thank you. So good to be here.
This podcast was brought to you by Primal Health Coach Institute. To learn more about how to become a successful health coach, get in touch with us by visiting primalhealthcoach.com/call. Or if you're already a successful health coach, practitioner, influencer, or thought leader with a thriving business and an interesting story, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us at hello@primalhealthcoach.com and let us know why we need to interview you for Health Coach Radio. Thanks for listening.
Well, if you've been listening at Health Coach Radio, you'll know that we're all about raising the voices of practicing health, fitness, and nutrition coaches, but most importantly, helping to further legitimize this exploding industry. Erin and I have disclosed often that we're on the faculty of the Primal Health Coach Institute, founded by none other than the health and wellness legend, Mark Sisson. And we've interviewed dozens of guests from just about every different health coaching program you can think of, and who practice in just about any conceivable way you can think of. But our allegiance is to the health coaching industry in its totality, first and foremost. It's our desire to continuously and unapologetically lift and promote this industry that nudged us to create this podcast for you in the first place. It's this same yearning that encouraged us to take the educational offering at our health coaching school to the next level. We are so proud to offer the Primal Health Coach Level 2 certification course, which, when combined with our primary course, the Primal Health Coach certification course, not only satisfies the educational requirements to sit for the board exam, but is specifically designed to teach advanced coaching mastery. You will work closely with a small class of peers through this 12-week, very intensive, live online classroom experience to learn how to execute a coaching relationship that is truly transformational. You'll learn and practice how to ask powerful questions, what it means to hold space for your clients, but most importantly, how to actually do it. You'll learn about the craft of motivational interviewing and the nuances of habit change, goal setting, and accountability, and how to nurture your client's own inner knowing, their intuition, and their own self-efficacy, so that they will graduate from your care a truly transformed person. You want a big, successful, powerful coaching practice. And maybe you're devouring our episodes looking for the silver bullet that's going to launch your business into the upper echelons. We've said it a million times and we'll say it again. Your coaching skills are what will make or break you and set you apart for success in this field. So if you're looking to level up your coaching skills and maybe dial up your credential and become a board-eligible health coach, look no further. You can learn more about PHCI's Level 2 program at primalhealthcoach.com/level 2. But if you would value talking to a real person about your path to being a masterful coach and perhaps a board certified coach, book some time with me personally. You can access my calendar at primalhealthcoach.com/call. Or just call me. You can reach me at 844-307-7662. Thank you for listening to Health Coach Radio, and I hope I get to talk to you soon.